countries, strong body spray is actually desirable.
Right, so as we've been alluding to, there's a number of distinct sets of customs and values between countries and cultures within them. This man, Geert Hofstede, in the late 60s, did some really good research into cultural dynamics, how we're supposed to interact with people in the workplace. He tested the societal views of IBM employees around the world to determine what sort of cultural differences existed. Most importantly, looking at how these differences affected business communication. Having insight into the cultural dynamics of a country or region can be extremely helpful to understand why the people in the country act the way they do, and how you should act in their country, and how you should act when you're communicating with them. He broke this research into 4 main dimensions of cultural differences. The first one was power distance. This relates to the measure of equality in society, kind of where the rich and the poor differ. In a country like ours, it's moderate, but it's not low. We still have a pretty distinct definition between the rich and the poor. Individualism, the second one, and that's whether the society embraces personal or collective achievements, really the basic between communism and democracy. That's what that comes down to. High scores tend to a high individualism, like the United States and Canada, while low scores would be a collectivist idea like China, Latin American countries, the like. The third dimension is uncertainty avoidance. These high scores are found in strict regulation-heavy countries, think Singapore, where you don't really have leeway with the law. You're kind of screwed if you ever get caught doing something. Whereas the lower-scoring countries would be more liberal, welcoming change. The fourth dimension is masculinity, and this is the extent that the workforce is dominated by males, or how the gender differences are seen by the business community, more like it. Workforce, then, especially Japan, which is dominated by males completely. It actually is a 95 on the Hofstede score, which is unbelievably high. Whereas the more progressive countries like Sweden have much lower, so 24, 25. So you can see the difference there. And just to kind of, one main thing we have to consider is that these are just generalities, right? This isn't, you can't just be like, I saw Hofstede say the Japanese people are all masculine, so there's no way that you can find a man in Japan who respects women. That's not how it goes, but it's just a basic understanding of how the country as a whole thinks. And to kind of illustrate what we're talking about, we found this tool online where we can compare Canada's Hofstede interest with someone else. So if somebody wants to give us a country. Denmark. Fantastic. So Canada's very individualistic. Like I mentioned earlier, we have very high scores. This is indicated by citing more me-first attitude, relatively loose bonds with others, and the population is more self-reliant, looks out for themselves. As we can see, they are actually very high along with us, so they would value the same things that we do. Their power distance, though, is much different. They have a much, much lower difference between the rich and the poor. People are kind of more democratic in their actions. Also, in the masculinity, they're much lower. They have much less bias towards women in the workplace. And their uncertainty avoidance is much lower. They don't even have as strict laws as we do, so they'd be a very liberal country. So now we're going to go to Nick.